7 a.m. today. Did my little morning routine, had my matcha. It's 9 a.m. now. I just finished having breakfast and we're gonna go head into the studio to see some clients. While I'm on the way to the studio, I'm also gonna be thinking about what I'm gonna be teaching. I already kind of know the structure I have in mind and the sequence that I want to teach today. I'll ask my clients first, of course, to see how they are feeling today, but for the most part, I have a really fun class planned in my mind.
Scrubbing in with Becca Tilley and Tanya Rath.
Mark asked how the weekend was. I said it was busy and boozy.
So important as a Pilates instructor to double check your equipment each and every time before your clients get on it. We have a little mishap with one of our straps here, and this is the type of thing where if something like this happens and you don't check it and then the client gets on the reformer, then that can be kind of scary. Depending on your plans for the class and how you're using the strap, it can be very scary with something that can happen. So if you're a Pilates instructor, this is your friendly reminder to always double check your equipment and safety first, always. I got to the studio a little bit early so that I can play around with some things on the reformer. Nice and quiet. It's a very rainy morning today in Miami. It's been very rainy this week. So my first group class is now at 10 a.m. and then I have another group class at 11 a.m. I upload one free Pilates class every month to YouTube, and the one for June was scheduled for today at 1 p.m. So it went live 39 minutes ago, and I'm just posting now to my stories with the link. Make sure the link works. Perfect. I never buy coffee on the road anymore. Well, I also don't even drink coffee anymore really because of my gut health journey. I mainly drink matcha, but if I am craving coffee on a day like today where it's rainy and I'm just sleepy, I will make it at home. I never crave getting coffee out on the road anymore, which is crazy because I was someone who would get Starbucks all the time on my way home from the studio. Like, it was a given. I was on my way home and I was ending up at Starbucks every single time. But now that I have an espresso machine, it was honestly one of the best investments because I really look forward to this type of coffee whenever I am craving a coffee. Okay, so it's 2 p.m. I had my vegetable soup for lunch and it definitely brought me back to life. I went to the allergist after my sessions. I go once a month to get my allergy shot because I'm allergic to my dog, so can't have that. I need to be able to cuddle him and pet him in my face. So I go get allergy shots every month and they help a lot. So it's 2 p.m. now. I am gonna go ahead and make some homemade sourdough bread and I'm gonna show you what the process is like. I do have a video showing the entire process for homemade sourdough bread, but since I am using gluten-free flour now, I wanna show you what the process is like with the gluten-free flour because the steps are actually different, and I find that the steps with the gluten-free is actually a lot easier. It's more simple than regular sourdough bread. So all you need is gluten-free flour, which this is the one that I use, and I'm gonna say I was using another one and it didn't taste as good and it wasn't rising as much. This one I definitely recommend because my starter and my bread itself rose so much compared to another gluten-free flour I was using. So I did compare two different ones. This one is really good. Of course, you're gonna need your starter. If you have no idea what gluten-free starter is, then that's how I was a couple of months ago. I did my research and I learned about it, but I got this starter off of Etsy, and I basically, the same starter I got back in October when I was making my sourdough bread, but now it is gluten-free. There was like a week where I was feeding it every day with the gluten-free flour to basically take out all of the gluten in it, and then now it is gluten-free using this gluten-free flour. So I waited like an entire week before actually baking with it to make sure that we took out all of the gluten and any potential flour that could be inside that was not gluten-free. So the steps are pretty simple, and I will link the recipe that I'm using in the description below. I found it online and it works very well. So I'm going to open it up because I don't remember the recipe. Okay. Gonna need my scale. We do everything in grams for sourdough bread. Also gonna need salt. Then I'm gonna get my measuring cup for water. Okay, so the first step is basically going to take 200 grams of the gluten-free starter and put it in a bowl. Lower this so you can see. My starter is very, very active, and what's important also is that the starter is unfed. So for regular sourdough bread, you have to basically wake up in the morning or whenever you're gonna do the sourdough bread and feed it 5 hours before you're actually gonna make it. With the gluten-free, the good thing is you are taking unfed sourdough starter. This was just in the fridge. I fed it last week when I made my sourdough bread, and now I'm using the unfed starter. So I'm gonna get 200 grams of it and put it in this bowl. The consistency of the starter itself is actually very different. Okay, so 200 grams of starter, and it really didn't leave me with much, but it's okay because the way that it rose was basically, I was left with the same amount last time and it rose so much. So as long as you are putting the right ratio of the flour and the water when you refeed it, which I'll show you. I know it's kind of complicated, but if you have no idea what I'm talking about, then maybe watch my other video where I talk more about like the feeding process and all of that. Here I'm just gonna go over the recipe. I don't want to confuse you too much. So we've got the 200 grams of the starter, and then now we need 300 grams of water. I'm gonna mix this all together. 12 grams of fine sea salt. This is the one that I use. And then 420 grams of flour. Basically, you want to continue mixing it until you feel no dry flour so that everything is really well blended together. And then you're going to turn it into a ball. And I know that making homemade sourdough bread can feel overwhelming, especially if you have no idea of the steps, but I was a beginner too last October, and it's trial and error. You kind of just learn along the way. If it's something that you're interested in trying out, it's very rewarding, and it is a process, but in my opinion, it's well worth it. Not only being able to make bread, knowing what all the ingredients are, but then also knowing that like I made it, and like when I eat it, I just enjoy it so much more than like store-bought bread. I don't know if that makes sense. But so the great thing about gluten-free sourdough bread is that once we are done with this step, the next step is not for another, I want to say like 8 hours. For original sourdough bread that's not gluten-free, you have to do like a stretch and fold process every 30 minutes for like 2 hours, and that's a very tedious process. But with the gluten-free, you do not do the stretch and fold. So that's why I think it's kind of easier. Like you don't have to feed your starter 5 hours prior to making the bread. You just take it out unfed, and then there's really no stretch and fold process. So it's less time consuming, which is great. I'm just going to lightly use some avocado oil and glaze a new fresh bowl. Not too much, just a little bit. I'm gonna grab a paper towel and just make sure that it is glazed along the bottom and the sides. And then now we're gonna take from this bowl and form it into a ball and then place it in this bowl. Comes off pretty seamless once everything is mixed together, and that's why it's really important to make sure there's no dry flour. There's been a storm in Florida the past week. Well, it's only Wednesday, but yesterday and today, and it's going to continue on through Saturday. Basically, like the entire state of Florida has been covered in this storm, and it has been pouring. So it looks like it's pitch black outside. It looks so dark, but it's only 2:10 p.m. So it's crazy. This doesn't have to be too perfect because we're gonna turn it into a better shaped ball later this evening for the next step. Basically what I'm trying to do is just make sure that it's nice and knit together. Sometimes I will wet my hands in between so that it keeps from sticking. That does help. I don't know if you're supposed to do that, but that's what I do. I don't know if any of this is correct, FYI. So if you try it and it doesn't work, I'm gonna have you blame the recipe, not me. Okay, just gonna gently place this in the bowl. I'm just gonna grab this towel, cover it. So that's what it looks like in this bowl. Good night, I will see you soon. And then just let it sit. Basically what I'm gonna do now is refeed my starter. So whatever's left, I'm just gonna match the ratio. So let's say there's 50 grams of starter left. I'll add 50 grams of water and 50 grams of the gluten-free flour, and then pop it back in the fridge. And it'll probably sit there until next week or until I decide to make my bread again. I was working behind the computer for a little bit, answering some DMs, YouTube comments, emails, and getting a couple of things done. And I planned the classes that I'm going to film tomorrow for my online studio. It's about to be 4 p.m. I'm about to have a call with my dietitian from my gut health journey. We're going to go over some test results from some additional blood work that we ran. Thankfully, the blood work was covered by my insurance, so I didn't have to pay for it. That's great. And we're taking a look at my hormones. So I'm curious to see what the results say and what she's going to tell me. It's crazy that we're already on month 3 of my gut health journey. If you haven't checked out episodes 1 and 2 of my gut health journey, it's been pretty crazy, but we've definitely seen a lot of progress. I'm having my electrolytes now. I have electrolytes daily. I don't think I'm gonna have time to get moving today. I would have loved to go for a walk. I normally go for a walk on Wednesdays, but it's pouring, so that's just definitely not gonna happen. Maybe I will lay out my mat after the call and do some mat Pilates. But after the call, the only thing I really have left to do for today in terms of work is tomorrow I'm starting to film the next course for my online studio. It's gonna be a mini moves course, which is like 5 to 10 minute classes. So I'm gonna be filming 4 of them. They're already all planned out. With every new course, I get a new outfit. Or I don't get a new outfit, but I wear a new outfit for every new course. I kind of have found that that just works best for like not having to think about what I'm gonna wear every every time I'm gonna film every week. So what I have to do is I have to figure out what outfit I'm going to be wearing. I haven't planned that, and I honestly did not order anything new. So I'm just gonna go through my closet and pick a cute outfit, because for the next 9 classes that I film, it's going to be this outfit. So tomorrow I'm filming classes 1 through 4. It'll take me 40 minutes max probably, because each class is going to be less than 10 minutes. And then the day before I film, I also make sure that my camera's all charged, my SD card is ready to go, my lights are charged, like everything is just ready to go in my bag. So tomorrow morning I don't have to think about that. But I'm very excited to film tomorrow. I did contact the studio that I had mentioned in my last vlog about the space that I was going to be booking to film. It's the same space that I had booked to film Reform. It was just not in the cards. I asked for the availability for tomorrow. And you know, my schedule, if you've seen in my vlogs, pretty organized and laid out, and I really was looking to film tomorrow, and they didn't have anything available for tomorrow. So I'm just going to be filming from my parents' living room again. I'm going to log on to Zoom now, and let's go ahead and meet with the dietitian and see what she says.
Hey, Aileen, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
The first section here is looking at your cholesterol. So this is just looking at your heart health. It looks a little bit alarming at a first glance because there's a couple things in red here. What I want you to take from this is when we're assessing cholesterol, this number isn't showing the complete picture. I want you to focus on just the HDLs and triglycerides here. I want you to think of, in basic terms, HDLs are your good cholesterol, your protective cholesterol, and your LV and the triglycerides are just your nasty. They're just nasty fats. Those are the ones that can really clog up arteries. So your HDL is super high. I'm very impressed. This is from diet and exercise. I've been trying to get there. This is a really good number. Your triglycerides are super low. I'm so happy to see that. You have really good cholesterol levels, really healthy cholesterol levels. And moving forward, you know, just focusing when you're buying, because you buy most of your proteins, really just focus on good, like high quality, organic, grass-fed, pasture-raised, all of that.
Got it.
When the animal is fed really high quality fats, omega-3 fatty acids, we get them too. Your glucose looks great. We looked at some other important markers here. We can see your liver enzymes are really low. This is really good news that your liver enzymes are doing really well. Magnesium would be great right now. I'm going to show you actually right after some ways that we can add magnesium to the diet. Okay, so here we looked at your hormones. These were at really healthy levels, not even functionally low. So you're super good here.
Okay.
And also, since there's thyroid issues in the family, I looked at antibodies, and you're in the clear for that too. Yeah, so that would be Hashimoto's disease. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
You're very good here.
Awesome.
I looked at your cortisol levels. This was at a healthy range, right smack in the middle. Cortisol is your stress hormone, and we want to make sure that this is in normal range so that your body is able to rest and digest. So what I want you to take from this blood test that we did, you are in really good health. But I want you to feel good about now shifting onto your weight loss journey and your training journey, and then that you have your body is no issues with your hormones here. Your blood sugar metabolism is healthy. You have good vitamin D levels. Your thyroid is functioning properly. Your immune system is healthy. Your DHEA and cortisol are nice and calm and where we want it to be.
Amazing.
So there's nothing that's going to stop you here. So this is just helping to rest. I think it would be so nice, like after a long day of work, after long runs.
Yeah.
This is a good way to like begin that nighttime routine.
Which one do you want?
The least fatty one? This one maybe?
That one's probably the better one. It's a good piece. Not great, Bob.
I ended up going with just a basic white tee and black leggings for the outfit. The top is from Lululemon, the bra is from Lululemon, and then the leggings are from Athleta. I just got home from filming the 4 classes. They were so tough. Honestly, after the first 2 classes, the first 2 were 10 minutes each, so it took me 20 minutes. And after those, I was like, maybe 2 is all I do. And I do the next 2 classes another day. But I decided to just power through and do all 4 classes, and they were all very, very tough. By the last one, I'm probably sweating at the beginning of the class, so that's great. But I'm feeling very accomplished that I got that done, so I'm just gonna be working behind the computer for the rest of the day. It's now 1:50 p.m. I stayed at my parents' house after filming and had some breakfast with them, so that was nice. And now I'm gonna bake sourdough bread. So last night at around 9 p.m., I went ahead and I put it into this sourdough bread basket that I lightly floured with flour. Does that make sense? I don't know. Lightly sprinkled with flour, I guess better said. And then I transferred the bread dough into this bowl. And then I put it in this bag. And the recipe calls for at least 12 hours in the fridge for this rise. And it's been more than 12 hours, which I think is fine. But I'm just gonna put it on some parchment paper. The pan is now preheating. I will put all the steps for baking and the temperatures and all of that right here on the screen, so you have it as reference. And I'm gonna score it. I usually like to draw a little football, especially during football season, but it's not football season. So I think I'm just gonna do, I'll do a wave. Let's see how this comes out. I'm kind of scared. That was a very poor attempt at doing a wave with a palm tree. There's the palm tree. There's the bootleg wave. It's okay, let's pretend it looks good. But anyways, once this is done baking, you typically have to wait like 2 hours before cutting it. Yeah, since I'm just gonna be sitting behind the computer the rest of the day, catching up on work, I'm so glad it stopped raining finally here in Miami. I think I'm gonna be wrapping up this vlog here. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. It's a great way to support my channel, and I really appreciate you for being here and for watching these videos, because I really do truly enjoy making these vlogs. So if you're watching, I'm happy to have you here. And I think that's all from me for now, so I will see you in my next video next week. Bye!